Well, hello. Welcome to part 1 of coloring your COVID cave days. So first off, just asking if you noticed anything different about me besides that I'm not wearing my glasses right now. We'll get back to that in a little bit. So how's the social distancing going for you these days? I know that it can go into social isolation, and that can be difficult. Even for introverts like me, it can get to be a lot. So it's reminded me of what I call my cave days. I had spent many months in treatments, and those treatments involved that I be in a dark room and for like 5-6 hours a day, 5 days a week, and during that time feeling unwell, and it just not like you're going out anywhere with all that going on. And during those times, a resource that I found very helpful was by Charles Spurgeon called Treasury of David, series of commentaries that walk you through the Psalms, and I just found a lot of great information in there and just a lot of comfort. And Spurgeon, of course, lived in a time that certainly had a lot of uncertainty with it, and he also dealt a lot with chronic health conditions as well. So he just had a lot of wisdom built into his commentaries. But anyway, during that, of course, with the Psalms, you learn a lot about David's life and what I call his cave days, and I could relate to some of his cave days and how he might have been feeling through some of those. So anyway, it was a dark time for me, and not just literally because I was in a dark room a lot of the time, but just mentally, emotionally, in body, soul even. And I'd admit during that time there was a lot of time spent wrestling with God about circumstances and my emotions and my thoughts, and wrestling with God's truth during that time. Also, it was just a dark time, and as I started to feel better, I kind of moved into grays. And then one day I just remember where I started to see color in my life again. Now, for most of you, probably, I hope you are like, what does that mean? But there may be some of you, and I'm sorry that you do understand what I'm saying, but that just being able to have color in life is important. And for me, it was so dark for that period of time that I was so hungry for color in my life. I literally took out pages from a gardening magazine. They had like swatches of color, how they put paint colors together, and I would tear out those pages and I would tape them to the wall next to my bed just so I could look at those colors and get something colorful into me. I was just so hungry to have that color. Well, and I hope this isolation period for you doesn't have you to those extreme of measures, but still, I would like to share some of the coloring tips that I've learned along the way. Now, when I started to do my list, it of course got very long. So again, this is part 1, and I'd better get going so I can just get through part 1 here with you. So first one, remember you are not alone. And I do not say this as a platitude. Often it can come off like a platitude when you're in a dark time, but there's a difference between feeling like God isn't there, but the truth is God is there. If you are a believer, then you have Him always with you. And this is where we don't lean into our feelings, but we lean into God's word and His truth and His promises that He will never leave us nor forsake us. And I will say I've had a goodly amount of time where I have felt that He isn't there, and when I have cried out to Him, notice cried out to Him, not even called, not prayed, but literally, this is like cried out to Him, that He has responded to me. Sometimes it's just been deep quietness in my soul. Other times He has sent someone or something to me that is so explicitly personal to me that cannot not be from him. And his love is just written all over it, where he's reminding me that he does see, he does hear, he does know, and he's reminding me of that, and that I'm not alone in that travail. Okay, number 2, others are not mind readers. So number 1, you are not alone. Number 2, others are not mind readers. And now, whether the person is near or far, no person is a mind reader. There are a few people that kind of get it in our life, hopefully maybe once in a while, but in general, most people just don't read our minds, and we are responsible for our own expectations, and we need to face up to that. Otherwise, we run into unrealistic expectations and we can spiral off of that. So it's important for us to keep realistic in our expectations, not expect other people to read our minds. So if there is a need that we have or something we need to talk about, we have to be the ones to initiate that conversation with the other person, and to have a discussion about it and have an agreement upon it. Otherwise, if you're like me, hey, I can hold a pity party really quick. I can also dive into the pool of wounds and offense. And I have been known to get quite a bit of exercise when I'm doing the jumping into conclusions. So, or jumping to conclusions. So I'm just, being real here, that we really need to make healthy choices, mental and emotional choices. We need to recognize when we're making unhealthy ones, and we need to practice healthy ones. Okay, number 3, it's okay to grieve. So remember, we're not alone. We need to know people aren't mind readers, and it's okay now to grieve. Number 3. So anyone in isolation has any number of reasons to be grieving, and we need to recognize those losses, recognize that we're grieving, and to work through our grief. And I've talked about this before. So I'll move on to number 4, is that we intentionally seek bringing light and color into our life. This is a choice. This is something that we need to do. There's any number of factors, whether it's literally or figuratively, we need to bring that light and color to us. It doesn't just always just come to us, so we need to bring that in. Number 5, eat, wash your face, change your clothes, even if it's a new pair of pajamas after 3 p.m. Whatever it is, we need to do the next simple life activities, keeping some routine if we can, but it's important that we just do the next thing. So I'm going to take a pause there, and we'll pick up next time in this video for part 2. So in the meantime, did you notice anything new? Perhaps my hair color looking a little purple? Yes, I dyed it purple. I've never dyed my hair before, mind you. So I did it for fun and to support my local hairdresser. I'd gotten a package from her and set out on the adventure. My stubborn Irish gray hair took 3 tries to even get this much purple in it. So, but the 3rd time was a charm, but it also reminded me that all these things that I'm sharing take practice and need to do them over again. And if you're like me, we're going to have to repeat them with some regularity as well. So I'm going to just end that and with praying that if nothing else today, that you will find some color that lifts your spirits, something that touches your senses with beauty, and something that makes your heart, mind, and soul smile today. Blessings to you. Bye-bye.